Coming up, a very peculiar story. It started out as a disturbing French song about death. It was translated into English, and then it was recorded by one of the biggest bands in rock history. Only this legendary group decided to abandon the sessions, and the song's producer, an unknown at the time, decided to record it, and it became one of the biggest hits of the 70s and the best-selling song in Canada's history. It actually went on to sell over 15 million copies. It was a feel-good song, unless you listened to the lyrics very closely or heard the original French version. Coming up next, the story of a one-hit wonder that is one part happy-go-lucky and one part sad and devastating. It's a great story coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you've always been curious about the stories behind the songs, the soundtrack of your life, you're going to dig this music community and this channel. It's a story straight from the legends, the stories behind the songs. Subscribe below. Make sure to do that right now. Click the bell so you never miss out. You can be a member of our community. We also have a way to support our mission and keep this channel alive. It's our Patreon, where you can get more videos, can even become an honorary producer. Check that out below. It helps us immensely. And we also have merch below. Let people know that you're a music lover. So it's time for another edition of our series, Bottle Lightning. This is where we celebrate a song that was king for a day, or for many days, for that matter. We honor artists and bands that had that one glorious hit that rocketed up the charts and changed lives forever, but for reasons unknown, and they didn't have another hit. We all know them for the term one-hit wonder, but we try to step beyond that title and celebrate them as lightning in a bottle. Today we focus on a song that is both happy, but also quite dark. It's a song that deserves a thorough breakdown. Today we have a walk through Seasons in the Sun, a song that was Bottle Lightning for Canadian singer-songwriter Terry Jacks in 1973.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
While I was preparing for this feature, I remembered a conversation that I was having with my business partner a while back. He told me a story, and it really hit home with me. He said that he attended a funeral some years back. This was for the father of one of his best friends, and the deceased was also like a father to him. As the casket was being carried away to the burial site after a very emotional service, he said that there was this eerie silence. And then, all of a sudden, the birds in the nearby trees began to sing. Their chirping slowly got louder and louder until the flock was in harmony, like a beautiful choir. For a moment, the bird song was all that anyone could hear. In that moment, he said that he remembered feeling a peacefulness that he had never experienced before. He said it was almost as if the birds were there to comfort him and the others that were there mourning. The birds were conveying the message that this dear deceased man was at rest and that precious life was ready to move forward. I was really astounded when he told me this story because I had a very similar experience, which I'll share later. But this feeling immediately took me back to the gripping lyric in verse 2 of Seasons in the Sun. Goodbye, Papa, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky.
When all the birds are singing in the sky.
Now that the spring is in the air, little children everywhere, when you see them, I'll be there.
When you see them, I'll be there.
Before Seasons in the Sun found its way to Terry Jacks, the song had a very unorthodox journey that began with Belgian singer, composer, and actor Jacques Brel. Sitting at a table inside a brothel located in Tangier, Morocco, Bell wrote a tragic song about a man dying of a broken heart. He titled it Le Moribond, translated in English as The Dying Man. The doomed narrator bids farewell to his best friend, his priest, his unfaithful wife, and a man named Antoine, with whom she is having the affair. Brel's dying protagonist claims his anger against Antoine, a former friend, for betraying him. Goodbye, Antoine. I don't like you very much,
Adieu, l'Antoine. je t'aimais pas bien, tu sais.
And it's killing me to die today knowing that you are still alive.
Aujourd'hui, alors que toi, t'es bien vivant.
Then, with a hint of forgiveness, the fading man asks backstabbing Antoine to take care of his wife when he is gone.
Que t'étais son amant, je sais que tu prendras soin de ma femme.
Les Moribond was translated into English by an American actor, songwriter, and poet by the name of Rob McEwen. Probably remember him. McEwen tightened Brel's original prose into more of a song structure, and he changed the title to Seasons in the Sun.
When you see them, I'll be there. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
He had a loyal following in the 60s and 70s, and he frequently performed Seasons in the Sun in front of live audiences.
But the hills we would climb were just seasons out of time.
McEwen's songs and poetry were very introspective, recalling struggles of the past and at the same time projecting optimism for the future. The first act to record McEwen's Seasons in the Sun was the Kingston Trio. Seems like they're the trio that records everything before everybody else. It was included as a cut on their 1963 LP, Time to Think.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the hills we would...
It was the Kingston Trio's interpretation of Seasons in the Sun that actually Terry Jacks recalled when he received the shattering news that one of his closest friends that he'd known since childhood was diagnosed with inoperable leukemia. When Terry got the news from his friend, he remembered a song that he'd heard by the Kingston Trio about an old man dying of a broken heart. He felt compelled to make a recording of the song as a tribute to his dear friend.
Goodbye to you, my trusted friend.
The early versions of Seasons in the Sun had a marching cadence to it, but Jacks wanted something less ominous and more melodic. The lyrics that McEwen had translated from Brel's original composition were very similar in Terry's rewrite, though. We'll talk about how Terry changed the song after we mention our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. Their slogan is eyewear for everyone, and it's absolutely true. Zenni is the only company that you can get a quality pair of glasses designed to your liking with great features like blue blocks, protect your eyes from digital blue light, and anti-fog, anti-glare for less than a vinyl record. If you're in the market for a pair of glasses or sunglasses or any other kind, go to Zenni.com and pick out your frame from thousands today.
Learned of love and ABCs.
So in Terry's rewrite, he took the focus away from a cheating wife and her paramours to a trusted friend, that reminiscing about the joy and the fun that the two childhood buddies had together. And, that was sadly coming to an end.
Skinned our hearts and skinned our knees. Goodbye, my friend, it's hard to die.
When Terry began to process the death of his childhood friend, he was determined to make a recording of his reimagined Seasons in the Sun. Terry was very friendly with the members of the Beach Boys back in those days, and the guys asked him to be a producer during the sessions for their Surf's Up album. A great album, man. One of my favorites.
Surf's Up.
Terry introduced Seasons in the Sun to Mike Love, Al Jardine, Bruce Johnston, and the Wilsons. And he had the idea of Carl Wilson singing lead vocals on the track with the other band members harmonizing. The Beach Boys went into the studio with Terry July of 1970 to attempt a rendition of Seasons in the Sun. But the sessions, I guess they went poorly, and the track was really never finished. Mike Love told an interviewer that Seasons in the Sun is just the wrong song for the Beach Boys. Now, the unfinished recording was not available for public consumption until the release of the 2021 compilation Phil Flows.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
When it was all said and done, a much better result came out of those sessions for Terry than if the Beach Boys would have recorded Seasons in the Sun. Jacks decided to do the song himself, and he teamed up with Al Jardine on backing vocals and a new arrangement for Seasons in the Sun. This would be issued on Jack's own label, Goldfish Records. On his solo recording of Seasons in the Sun, Terry performed lead and background vocals.
Now that the spring is in the air.
He also played the rhythm guitar. The great Link Wray laid down the lead guitar parts. Terry alleges that a young David Foster performed some piano sections on Seasons in the Sun, including the piano arpeggio that we hear.
Flowers everywhere. wish.
However, pianist David Lanz swears those piano parts on Seasons in the Sun were played by him, not David Foster. Lanz explained that Jax was probably confused because Foster was also living in Vancouver at that time, putting together the band Skylark, a band that included 2 musicians that played on the recording of Seasons in the Sun. Doris Maxwell on drums.
Pretty girls are everywhere.
Keyboardist Robbie King on organ. Great organ part there.
Hills that we climb, we're just seasons out of time.
Jack's decision to put out the song himself on Goldfish Records, was the label that he owned, ended up being a really smart business move. Jax released his version as a single in 1973.
Goodbye, Michelle, my little one.
Amazingly, the connection with the radio audience was instantaneous. Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks became the largest selling single in Canadian history. Nearly 300,000 45s were sold in just a few weeks. Dave Carrico, the VP of Bell Records in America, heard the record and he quickly caught a plane for Vancouver to sew up the U.S. rights for Terry's Bottle Lightning.
And every time that I was down,
Bell released the song in the U.S. on Valentine's Day, actually, 1974, and the label earned its first RIAA Gold Award for sales of over 1 million copies. The single soon topped the record charts in the U.S., where it was released on Bell Records, also in Canada and the U.K., selling over 14 million copies worldwide. Seasons in the Sun eventually sold well over 3 million units just in the U.S., making it one of the biggest songs of the 70s.
you would always come around and get my feet back on.
You know, to me, Seasons in the Sun has always been a very strange song in that when you hear that droning guitar, that opens the song, it feels like you're in for a really dark and eerie experience. And then you hear Terry Jacks' sad, Paul Simon-like subtle lyric, "Goodbye to you, my trusted friend."
Goodbye to you, my trusted friend.
And then you hear this peppy, upbeat organ that turns the song into this happy little sing-along. Its contrast is strangely cool, and why the song is connected with so many people, I think.
We've known each other since we were 9 or 10.
Since Seasons in the Sun was such a tearjerker, I do have to mention the song that was the B-side on the 45. My dad had the 45. The B-side was another gloomy tune that Terry conceived called Put the Bone In, which told the story of a woman who goes into a butcher shop begging the butcher to put the bone in for her because her doggy had been hit by a car. Near the end of the song, Terry sings the line, "Put the bone in," she yelled out once more.
Begged him once more.
Seasons in the Sun was a pop smash everywhere, as well as the Billboard Hot 100 here in America. Although some critics pan the song as bubblegum melodrama, the message of Terry Jacks' Season in the Sun made millions of fans of all ages choke up when they heard it and cherish the song for its emotional resonance.
You gave me love and helped me find the sun.
Some of the most influential artists of the rock era actually call Seasons in the Sun one of their most favorite songs of their childhood. Nirvana's Kurt Cobain, the voice of a generation, listened to the song constantly while the band was on tour. Can you imagine that? Nirvana recorded a cover of Seasons in the Sun in '93, you might remember, and their version was, of course, included in the 2004 box set with the lights out.
Goodbye, Papa, please play for me.
After he released his enormously successful recording of Seasons in the Sun, Terry Jacks actually met Jacques Brel in Brussels. Over a dinner together, Brel told Jacks all about how he wrote Les Moribonds back in 1961 in that brothel in Tangier. It was the first time that Jacks was given the background for the original sketch that Jacques Brel wrote that triggered the whole Seasons in the Sun phenomenon. By the time of his meeting with Jacks in Brussels, Brel had retired. He quit the entertainment business at the peak of his popularity in the early 70s, stunning his multitude of fans around the world. When the press asked Brel why he was retiring at a time when he was doing so well, he offered no reason. The truth of why he hung it up so abruptly was unveiled after people discovered that Brel was going through a battle against cancer. It was a quiet 6-year battle that he sadly surrendered to on October 9th, 1978. Interesting parallels there. Jacques continued to embrace and reinterpret the works of Jacques Brel beyond the evolution of Les Moribonds when he later released If You Go Away, which was another McEwen adaptation of a Brel composition. It was titled Ne me quitte pas. Hope I say that right. That had a great run in the UK. It reached number 8 there and number 24 in Germany. Besides collaborating with many artists after the popularity of Seasons in the Sun, Terry Jacques also worked in documentary film and video, producing several shorts on environmental themes. In his elderly years, Jacques said to be more proud of his work as an environmentalist than he is with his musical achievements. He never regarded himself as a good singer, and he was surprised when he won the Juno Award for Male Vocalist of the Year in 1974. Terry's Seasons in the Suns cleaned up at the Junos in 74, actually, winning for Contemporary Single of the Year, Pop Music Single of the Year, and the prize for Best-Selling Single. Again, biggest selling single in Canadian history. The legacy of Seasons in the Sun, it's a remarkable one. How a song about a dying man that was initially composed 10 years earlier became such a pop smash, it's truly astonishing. Despite the bubblegum criticism by some haters, Seasons in the Sun has a special place in the hearts of millions, and it continues to be a source of healing for those that have lost someone close to them. Although he rearranged the song and changed the perspective of the lyrics, Terry Jacques was not given a writing credit for Seasons in the Sun. It's kind of strange to me. Credits went to Brel and McEwen, but it was the vision of Terry Jacques that brought the song to life and turned it into what it is, a pop music treasure.
Have all gone.
Going back to that story that my dear friend and business partner shared, at the beginning about attending that funeral. As he told me his story, I was blown away. Because I had a similar experience at my own father's funeral. I just didn't connect the dots at that time, and that story kind of made me think of it. When he told me his story, I remember a moment when I was helping carry out my dad's casket. I was one of the pallbearers. I also spoke at his funeral. I remember the sadness that I felt as I was carrying that casket out of the church in that mid-August day. As the door opened, the sun was shining and I could hear the birds chirping, and my sadness turned to a resounding joy as I felt my father's presence right next to me. Like, I could swear I felt his hand on my shoulder.
You gave me love and helped me find the sun.
At that moment, I thought about this song because it was a song that my dad clearly explained to me what it was about. And he did that so many times with so many songs. In that moment, scores of memories just hit me. Riding with my dad in his Ford pickup truck with the radio blasting as the sun shined on that small town of Blackfoot, Idaho, and my dad laughing and singing and telling me stories from his life, from those songs.
Goodbye, Papa, please pray for me.
As I turned, wiping tears from my eyes, I saw my wife and my kids out of the corner of my eye walking up to me to comfort me, and I knew that I would carry on my father's legacy with my own kids. I think of those words now. Goodbye, Papa, please pray for me. I was the black sheep of the family. And I really was. I still am.
I was the black sheep of the family.
And then the words, you tried to teach me right from wrong, too much wine and too much song, wonder how I got along.
Too much wine and too much song, wonder how I got along.
Well, I got along because of those songs that my dad would tell me the stories behind. It was the tie that bound us together.
You tried to teach me right from wrong.
And growing up, we were doing this all the time, bumping heads. But the music brought us together. It's why I do what I do now. I pass that on to my own kids. I show them songs that I grew up with, and I tell them stories and memories. Professor Rock, it's just a nickname. I'm really just an old song teller. I tell the stories behind the songs to those who will listen. Like my dad did for me, I do this for him. I do it for my kids. I do it because great songs truly connect us all. In these divisive times, we need that more than ever. So this one's for my dad, who put me on this path. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
All our lives we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
Leave us a comment about Seasons in the Sun. What are your memories of this song? Let us know in the comments below. Let's really get deep on this one. If you dig our content, make sure to subscribe below so that you never miss out on our videos. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth.